Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Wire. Here we are with another amazing session all about helping you to be successful in your upcoming accreditation. Now, that's very important, isn't it? That is very important. It's important to you. It's important to us. So this session today is all about who's going to be interviewed and how can they prepare? How can they put their best foot forward and help your organisation to shine in its upcoming accreditation assessment? Right? We want everyone to feel empowered. We want everybody to feel like they can tell their story and that, we can hear it. We can hear the best stories as we're going about collecting all the evidence for the assessment. So there's a cast of thousands. No, I'm only joking. I'm going to talk you through that. But firstly, I would like to acknowledge that I'm on beautiful Biripi country here in my friend's home at Blackhead Beach, which is near Taree, if anybody's wondering. And it's between Taree and Foster, if you know that part of the mid-coast of New South Wales. That's where I am, and I'm on their beautiful country. I want to acknowledge their elders for keeping all the knowledge, and I want to acknowledge their deep connection to the beautiful land and the beautiful waters here. And I would invite you to do that too. Hello, Rachel. Lovely to see you here. Whose country are you on, Rach?
I'm on the Bunurong lands of the Kulin Nation down here in Bayside, Melbourne.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that respectful start. Now, where are you up to, everyone, with your Service Excellence accreditation? Aren't you so very lucky today to have a room of 2 assessors? Oh, I know, it's like potluck. Who could you get? You could get Rach as your assessor. You could get me as your assessor, though that'd be rare. You'd have to be like a serious problem child to get me as an assessor these days, because we've got a big team of assessors who do it all and do it so well that I don't need to be there. I need to be in the back end looking after all the contract administration. That's really my job these days. So Rachel's one of those amazing assessors that you could get if you're anywhere down near Victoria, southern New South Wales, Tasmania. Yeah, she'll go all the way down there in the cold.
Oh, well.
Whew, take your beanie. In fact, you are going there in winter next year, aren't you?
Yes. Yep.
So yes, you'll be probably packing 2 beanies. So there you go. You've got the beautiful Rach and you've got me, as always, talking to you about how to be successful in your accreditation effort. It does take a lot of effort. So you don't want your people letting you down in the interview. Shall I tell you some funny stories about interviews over the years? So I won't say how many years I've been interviewing people as part of accreditation assessments, but I've pretty much seen it all. And even as late as this week, I was observing an assessment and I did see an executive at quite a high level in their organisation being asked questions about their role and opting to pass. I thought, in an accreditation assessment, can you just say, oh, pass? What? So that could happen. Well, I know there's nerves and all sorts of things that go in there. It was just a bit of a funny thing. And of course you can pass and you can come back to it later on, but it was just a funny thing. It was like that person felt like they were in some sort of game show, And other not so funny experiences that we've had as assessors is we did work with an organisation that had a very traumatised team. And unfortunately, they had been traumatised by the management. There was a lot of things happening in that organisation which had left this team feeling, all the things that you would imagine a traumatised team would be feeling. And not only were they very shaky and very, very quiet in the interview, but one person started to cry in that interview because we're asking questions about collaboration and cohesion and feeling safe at work and workplace flexibility and, you know, how do the managers care for you here, all that sort of thing. And it was just too much. And so there was, you know, there was tears in that one. And afterwards, there were people who came to me as the assessor and said, behind the door, closed door, this is what's going on. And I thought, oh my goodness, you know, that sounds awful. And that was part of the assessment. So that was not, you know, that was really hard to manage, really hard to manage. Sometimes people will use the accreditation assessment to really drop their manager in it. It's happened. It's happened. Like, are we asking questions and I'll go, no, that doesn't happen here. No, we don't do that. That never happens. No, I've never had one of those. And you sort of think, oh, gee, wasn't expecting this. You see, so there's just some examples of where the interviewees don't feel empowered and they don't feel informed and connected to the process. That's how they can react and respond in the interview, and that will lead you to all sorts of issues with definitely gaps. In some cases, notifiable issues if it's a serious work health and safety concern that we have, and we would have to notify your funder, all sorts of things. So we want to interview people who are really keen to participate in the process. Now, I know that seems like a stretch, but let's see if we can get them there, huh? How can we get people really, really keen to participate in the process? Well, let me firstly go through the list of people who we would like to participate. This is the list of all the interviews. Righty? Where are we going to start, Rach? Where do we start? Top of the organisation, we want to interview the board, right? Or the governance team, whatever that looks like in your organisation. And how many would you like to talk to, Rach?
Oh, I'd love at least 3. 3 would be great.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's see if we can get 3 board members. And how would you feel if the CEO were in there as well, Rach?
Yeah, I don't mind that if that's clear. There's there's similar areas that we're looking at, similar levels.
That's right. That's fine as long as everybody's answering the questions, as long as it's just not the CEO answering the questions. That could be the only caution there. But yes, we'd be happy to have that whole governance team in there together. Then we will interview the CEO. Sometimes the CEO might be interviewed with the executive or separate. This depends on how they would like to roll, right? So it's either is fine. And then we will interview the sort of top level senior management team, if there is one at your organisation. If you're a small community centre, you might only have a half-time coordinator. We know you're not going to have an executive team. So it'll just be you as the manager or as the coordinator of that centre. All right. But if you're a large organisation, then we'll probably talk with your senior leadership team. That's your HR, your finance, you know, all those people in corporate. And then we would like to interview some service delivery managers, you know, the ones that are leading the service delivery team. Manager, coordinator, team leader, supervisor, whatever they're called there. And we would like to interview the staff. Now, we like to, don't we, Rach? We like to have as many as we can, staff-wise, because they really give us a great sense of the systems that are working well for them in the organisation. So we like to have many perspectives in there. That's one of our longer interviews. That will go for about an hour and a half usually, because there's quite a lot of indicators that we want to ask them about. We want to hear some good stories, you know, want to hear some depth there. So please give us staff to talk to. And that'll be as a group. And then who are the VIPs in the whole assessment, Rach?
Oh, that would have to be the service users,
Yes.
clients,
Yes.
participants.
Yes. All of those people. So this is really the most important interview to organise first, because it can be logistically challenging and emotionally challenging.
Mm.
Not for us, but sometimes for the staff, because who are very protective of their clients and their privacy, and sometimes for the clients themselves, okay, who might have lives that are very organised around getting their needs met rather than helping us with the accreditation assessment. So I just want to say, I think that that's a good one to work on early, and we will talk in a moment about the sorts of things to help them to participate. But that is a very important interview for us. We cannot finish your accreditation unless we hear from the people who you are delivering a service to. All right? Be clear on that, because there have been people over the years who've said, no, you can't talk to our clients. And we want to be respectful, but we also want to have rigour in this process. So we've got to find that line between ourselves as assessors and you as an organisation that wants to do all the right things. Okay? We will get there. We do get there. And it's usually very positive for the clients to participate in something like this. They tell us. That's what they tell us. And then we're going to talk to some of your community partners. Now, they'll be organisations that are helping you to get great outcomes, right? So these are organisations that refer in, or that you refer to, or that you partner with, or that, give you nomination rights to their properties, or hire a bit of your space in your community centre. Lots and lots of different organisations that you'll be working with, and you're going to give us 3 or 4 to talk to, and we'll talk to them on the phone. And we'll ask them about their relationship with you and your reputation in the community and how how you're contributing. So there you go. I think that's pretty much it. Volunteers would be included in the staff interview, so paid or unpaid staff can participate there. Some of you might want to know about the numbers. I sort of said it's about 3 board members, about 6 to 10 staff. We really love to speak to at least 5 clients on every occasion. For larger organisations, it would be more, but at least 5. And 3 to 4 community partners. Okay, so there's your numbers. Now, what are the ways that we can help the interviewees to feel connected, empowered, and informed, right? So that'll be important for the best sort of participation. Right, so there's a lot that you can do as organisations, but there's a lot that we can do as Highwire, because we are the most supportive assessors, as you know. If you're working with us, you'll already know that. But this is the way that we want to set you up for success. We are, as early as we can, or whenever you decide, we're going to run an information session for your people. So we can have one for your board, and we can have one for your staff team. It's likely to be online unless you live around your organisation's around the corner from Rachel, in which case you can walk around. But mostly it's going to be online. Okay. And that can go for about an hour. And we do a bit of a prezzo, and we answer all the questions that people have. Right. We even role play some interview questions. We give you a bit of an idea about how that would go. All right, so you can have that information session at any time. You can have more than one, because we want everyone to feel connected and supportive of the process. The other way that we can help your interviewees to participate fully is we are going to give you all of the questions. The answers, because the answers are yours, they're your story. But we're going to give you all the questions. And the questions all relate to the 100 indicators in the framework. There's nothing outside of that. All right. So assessors sometimes they get curious and interested and go down little trails. But usually we stick to the script, don't we, Rach?
Yeah.
We do. So we know what the questions are. We want you to know what the questions are. And if you're the kind of person who wants to stay up late the night before and write your script out, you can. You can prepare, you can write some notes. A lot of people do. All right. So that is called our question themes document. And we send that along and you can give the question themes to every interviewee. There's even questions in there that we'll be asking the clients. All right. The other thing that we'll do is we're going to have a pre-assessment meeting and we are going to design the on-site assessment schedule with you. All right. We know how we'd like it to go with all the people that we'd like to talk to. So we've got a starting point, but we want to sit with you and talk about how's that going to work for all those VIPs. So we're very flexible, aren't we, Rach? Because what we want is people to be able to participate. So we go out of our way, don't we, Rach? What's the special things that we might do to make sure people could participate?
Or might be helping with transport to get there, might be doing, flexible ways, whether that's phone calls in person, Zooms, looking at how we can meet people where they're at too.
Exactly. We will also ask the organisation to put some food on because that brings people to the yard, doesn't it? Oh, yes.
Snacks.
My favourite is a big sausage sizzle because that brings a lot of people to the yard, especially with onions. So we don't mind to talk to clients and community members, even community partners over some lunch or some morning or afternoon tea. That can generally help people feel more relaxed. So please let us help, you think about what's it going to be like for the people when they come and be part of the interview. We want it to feel as comfortable for them as it can. So food can sometimes help that. The other thing that we will do is we have adjusted the questions to work for different literacy levels. We will work with interpreters where that would facilitate, engagement and participation. And Rachel does beautiful things, when she's contacting clients. Tell them what you do, Rach, to help them to feel okay about answering that phone. Sometimes we do speak to clients on the phone, and that's a little less, personable, isn't it? So what does Rachel do?
I like to send a little photo of myself, just to say, hi, here I am. And it just helps to, break down those barriers of, oh, who's this person going to call me, or who am I going to meet with, and who are they? And so that's, just a way that I've really, I found that, and that really helped with a group of people who, literacy was in the English language was could have been a real barrier, and culturally to actually say, hello, here I am, and give a visual connection before it was just me asking them really, personal kind of questions on the phone. It really helped with that.
Yes, I love that strategy. Just to sometimes people are screening their calls, so it's helpful for people to know when it's coming through. So making a firm time with people can sometimes help as well as being super flexible, but also being, a bit structured and saying, hey, how about we give you a call at 2:00 before you go to pick the kids up, like that sort of stuff. And we'll always offer to do things after hours. I know, we're that nice. And if we find that, we've had an interview scheduled and it's going to have to be moved, we'll often offer to do that in the week following the assessment. All right. So we're known to be very flexible. So we just, we're working with people, and we understand what it's like in your kind of service. Now, just a little more on the client interview, because this is where I think, the most empowerment for participation needs to happen, is that organisations will often ask, can the caseworker be in there with the client? Now, I'd like to say, yes, that would be great advocacy and support for the client. But I would generally say no, because we want the client to be able to talk openly about anything that, they would like. They would like to say how wonderful they find the service, or they might be prompted to say, what are some of the challenges with the service? Do you have a choice of worker? What have you ever had your worker change? And if so, what was that? How was that change managed? And how do you talk with your worker about your goals? Like there's questions there we'd like the person to feel really free and comfortable and safe to answer. So we are trying to create that kind of a space there. And we found that it works a lot better if it's just the assessor and the clients having a yarn. Yeah, so you might ask us that, and that would be our answer. Where people are living with a disability that would limit their communication, and they have a worker who can help them to communicate. We have the way that we've worked with that is to send a survey and have the organisation support the client to complete the survey, to complete the questionnaire. So they would work with a different person, a different carer or a different support person to actually complete the questionnaire. And that's the way that we get the client's voice into the assessment. Yeah, so I'm reminded about an organisation that works with people living in the community with an intellectual disability. And so they had another worker go and do the questionnaire with the people in the group home, and then that was sent to us. All right. So there's ways that we can find to give clients or participants a voice, and that's really what we're trying to do. I know that's what you're trying to do as well. So that's important to us, but we'll work very flexibly to make that happen. Recently, we worked with a group of people who were living in very remote Central Australia, in all those communities across the lands, across the APY lands. You can picture that, right? Lots of communities there, lots of people, and we wanted to have their voice in the assessment. And so we worked with the organisation who was providing the service who we were assessing to come up with a list of questions that could work for people where we had the language barrier. Do you know what I mean? And Rachel worked really closely with that organisation to come up with a list of really good questions. While I pull it up, Rach, why don't you talk about some of the challenges that you had there with that? Because it was a fantastic challenge, wasn't it, to give those people a voice and to use it as evidence against our quite technical indicators. Like, well, to work hard, don't you, Rach?
Yeah, and it was because it did give me a totally different perspective on a whole lot of the other indicators of like, oh my God, this service is doing such a great job, because suddenly I got to interact with their clients to see and understand the communication challenges and the language challenges, and just how incredible the work was that they were doing. And that even though the service had defined these different questions, with many of those interviews, I had to, on the spot, go, oh, I don't have the skill to adjust my language. I was still in kind of auditor mode, and I dropped that down, and I dropped that down, and I dropped that down, where I had to sometimes ask a 3-word question. And so to really become that investigator and find how I was going to be able to tick off what we needed to, and also work really respectfully with the clients. Yeah, it was quite challenging. It was great fun. Great to do. And then when I was looking back and looking at different areas of that assessment and the report, it really gave me so much more indication of the work that they were doing. And then I was able to add that into the report as well. So it was, yeah, they can be just, so brilliant, those interviews, because you really do see what's happening for the clients. Yeah, it's great.
And that's the reason that we'll have a decent sampling as well, because if all that the people can tell you is that they're number one, amazing, good mob, right? If that's what they can say, but 10 people say it, that's strong. That's strong for us, that there's a community of people out there who really love this service, right? Proper good, love them, that sort of stuff. It comes through as a theme if we have a big enough sample. So that's why we like to talk to many clients if we can. Yeah, so this is the list of questions that we came up with, which we think is going to work for many, many groups of clients. Not every client's going to have language and literacy challenges, but if they do, then we've got 2 sets of questions that we can use here. So the top set of questions probably infers that there is a good level of language and literacy, and the second set of question infers that that there might need to be a need to simplify the language complexity. Actually, I don't think that's even the final set, is it, Rach? The final set was much simpler than that. I should try to
And it was
pull
interesting
these
that
out.
even that, like what we did was even simpler. And then when I had to do it, I even had to drop it again. So it just shows I suppose, the range of how we can engage those service users of wherever they're at. And that's really our intention, is meeting them where they're at, not just what our needs are as the assessors.
Yeah.
How do we allow the clients to have the voice, and how we support them in that through? So that flexibility for us as assessors is really strong. And that can happen even, within your team as well, depending on the service. But that side of, with the clients, it really is looking at, we really have to be flexible. And, sometimes that's on the spot. Sometimes we can prepare for that. But even that experience for me was, even with the best preparation, I had to really adjust on the fly, on the phone. So that's part of what we do as well.
Yeah, I'm so very proud of the team. Excuse me. And the way that we are learning with the clients, with our client, about how to work well with all of the people that we would like to engage in the process. So I'm very proud of our approach in that regard. So please let us, tell us what you think you need, and how we can work together to make that happen. The other thing that's super helpful to help people to fully participate in the interviews is we do have copies of our audit tools that we will use. So, for example, when we're sitting with your HR person, right, that might be the same person as does everything else, but it might be a designated HR person. We do have a HR file audit, and we do have a checklist that person can have ahead of time, so they can prepare all the things that we might want to see, so they can get ready for that. Whoever's going to walk us around the site and show us all the work health and safety things and all the client journey things, we're going to give you the checklist that we use while we're walking around, so you can do your own walk around before we come. Make sure it's all hunky-dory. That's an old one, isn't it? Hunky-dory. Where did that come from? Goodness me. Compliance, I should have said. Dory compliant, whatever, that's how we roll. The other checklist that we use is for the person that we will be sitting with having a look at the client files. Now, we're not interested in having a look at all the detail of their backstory. We've got a list of things against the indicators that we want to have a look at about your system for keeping all that client data. So you can give that checklist to that person who's going to show us those things, and they can be prepared for the sorts of things that we'd like to look at as well. How good is that? And the last little thing I'll show you is we have created some self-assessment tools for different groups in your organisation to work with. So, for example, if the managers got together and they wanted to be across all the things that they're probably going to need to be, aware of in the structure of the standards, it's all grouped for them. And we've got one for finance and we've got one for the board. So I'll show you what that looks like, and we're going to send all those out to you as well. So if you're trying to engage your board a bit more in the assessment, or you're trying to engage the staff, and in that self-assessment phase, that piece about connection and information, there's nothing that will lead to resistance more than people not having a clue of what's going on and then being thrown into an interview. Oh my goodness. Right? There's resistance, and guess where it's going to come out? It's going to come out in the interview. Because I will say to people, as Rachel will, does everybody here know why you're here today? Do you know what it's about, this accreditation thing? And some people will go, nah, I was just told to be here, or it's just put in my diary to be here. Now, you can imagine how that interview is going to go. So we don't want that. So here's another tool that I will share with you that is called the self-assessment guides and the self-assessment checklists. And this is just one that we often share because it's harder to engage the board sometimes. And theirs is a very, very important interview. So here we go. Let me just share this with you. This is an example of the sort of things that we can send out to you. So everybody is literally on the same page. Look at this. Okay, so this could be something the board sits with, and we've pulled out all of the indicators out of the framework that they would need to be across. All right, so there's some in governance, but there's some in strategic planning as well. So here we go. And there's the question. We tell others about the organisation's role and values. Do we do this? Yes, we do. How could we show that? All right, we undertake a review to identify threats and opportunities before we start planning. Do we do this? Yes, we do. How do we do that? We do a big fat swap before we do our strategic plan. All right, so, and it goes onwards through all the things that the governance team would need to be across. All right, so there's more than you would think. So what's that last one says? We regularly review our relationships and agreements with our key partners. Do we do this? Yes, we do. How could you prove it? We've got some updated MOUs to show you. Okay, so that kind of checklist can really help to engage different parts of your organisation in the self-assessment phase and set them up well for when they come to talk to us at the interview. Okay, so they could bring this document along with them and they'd be so prepared. All right, so there you have it, everyone. That is all of the ways that we like to help you to be prepared for the interviews. It's our really good evidence gathering opportunity, these interviews. It really brings the story to life. All we will have seen before we come to the interviews is your documents, right? So you're really colouring it in for us with the interviews. You get to choose who we talk to. So you're going to choose wisely, and we're going to help you to develop a really good schedule for everyone to participate. Final tips, Rach?
Oh, I just think with this, when we're doing this, and if you think that this is setting yourself up for success, we want you to succeed. We're your partners in this. We're not coming down in that kind of old style of, oh, we're going to come and audit you and checklist you and, we're here to find things wrong. No, we're here to assist you in your accreditation. And so the more you do in that preparation time, then the more successful you will be and the better use of your time.
Yes. Yes, I like it when teams make presentations about things that they're really proud of. So, it's not just interviews. For us, when we get to see a showcase of a new program or a new system or something that we've implemented that's getting some great impact, and we have a little presentation on that. It's another way to bring that story to life. So we do love that. I know we're here today to talk about interviews, but it can, while we're on site, we can be shown evidence in many different ways, right? But it is about hearing about the organisation through the people who work there or receive the service or partner with the service. It's really what those interviews are about. So get in touch, ask us questions, ask us for those tools. We usually send them out as a matter of course anyway, but if you haven't got them, you want them, get in touch. And we'll see you next month on The Wire. I can't remember what the topic is, but it'll surely be as good as this one. So please come along and join Rach and I. And for those of you watching the recording, good decision. Good decision. Hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.
Where's the stop? Oh, yes. Yes, there we go. Transitions, my problem.